Good evening, and thank you for inviting me to speak at this critical moment in history. We are here because the law demands it and because humanity demands it. International law is unambiguous. An occupying power may displace civilians only under the most exceptional circumstances. That is, when it is strictly necessary for civilian safety or imperative military reasons. Absent these conditions, the forced displacement of civilians is no longer a security measure. It is a crime against humanity under the Rome Statute. And today in Gaza and across the occupied Palestinian territories, this law is being shattered in full view of the world. Since the 18th of March this year, more than 856,000 Palestinians have been forced from their homes, almost 2 million since October 2023. In the last 2 months alone, 120,000 more people were uprooted. We have heard testimonies of families displaced 15 times or more, children bombed while sheltering in schools and hospitals, elderly people with nowhere left to go. And let us be clear, this is not evacuation for safety. 80% of Gaza's infrastructure is gone, flattened. Israel claims to be upholding humanitarian principles of necessity and proportionality are simply unsubstantiated. And look at the facts. 86% of Gaza is under Israeli displacement orders or militarized control. The remaining 12%, the only land where civilians can go, is overcrowded, cut off from aid, and under constant threat. Since May 2025, at least 2,000 civilians have been killed while seeking food or water. Among the 60,000 dead and more, at least 18,000 children, 500 humanitarian workers, 326 UN staff. And killing the hungry while destroying the lifelines meant to keep them alive can only be one thing: a systematic attempt to dismantle civilian life. And when Israel proposes the so-called humanitarian cities on the Egyptian border, cities with no food, no water, no safety, we must name this plainly. It is an attempt to push Palestinians from their homeland, not to protect them within it. The scale of the mass displacement in Gaza today clearly reminds us of the exodus the Palestinians endured in 1948, and it has gone well beyond imaginable. But this displacement pattern is not confined to Gaza. In the West Bank, particularly Jenin and Tulkarm, over 40,000 Palestinians have been displaced since early 2025, adding to the ones displaced since 23. More than 1,200 people, including 607 children, have been forced from their homes under demolition orders. And these demolitions are often based on accusations of an alleged lack of Israeli-issued building permits for Palestinians impossible to receive. So we see entire neighborhoods demolished, entire communities erased, and this is not random. It is not incidental. It is systemic. As my fellow Special Rapporteur, Francesca Albanese, just said, we are facing a long-standing structural oppression against the Palestinian people. The immense scale of destruction to both human life and critical infrastructure not only deepens the humanitarian crisis, it also strengthens the case for accountability under international law. Under international human rights law, states bear the primary responsibility to respect, to protect, and fulfill the rights of all individuals within their jurisdiction or effective control. Where grave or systematic violations occur, such as arbitrary displacement, states may be held accountable. As an occupying power, Israel is bound by international humanitarian law as well. In Darfur, Sudanese leaders were indicted for displacement and the denial of humanitarian aid. These acts were framed within the broader charges of genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes. In the Balkans, Serbian leaders faced charges for the deportation and forcibly transfer of civilians. The International Criminal Court and the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia made it clear that such actions are not military strategies. These are crimes against humanity. Israel's actions continue not because the law is silent, but because too many states remain silent. States that supply weapons, knowing how they will be used. States that offer economic and diplomatic cover while suppressing the voices of their own citizens who speak up, speak out. But international law is not to be twisted again and again. The Geneva Conventions require states to respect and to ensure respect for international humanitarian law. That means stopping arms transfers when there is a clear risk of serious violations, cooperating to end grave breaches of the law, holding perpetrators accountable before international courts. The protection of the Palestinian civilian population is a shared responsibility of the international community. So today I call the international community, and particular states, halt immediately the armed transfers that fuel these crimes, protect Palestinian civilians with meaningful international action, not empty statements, ensure accountability for those responsible under international law. To conclude, let me remind us of the UN Human Rights Council Resolution 5530 of 2024, which reaffirmed the Palestinian people's permanent and unqualified right of self-determination, including the right to live in freedom, justice, and dignity, and the right to their independent state of Palestine. History will ask what we did when civilians were starved, displaced, and slaughtered before the world's eyes. And let me be clear, doing nothing, saying nothing in the face of genocide is not neutrality, is complicity. Thank you.